Lesson 6.
Scary, Kyle? Just kidding. Just kidding. No, I don't mean...
You can do the haunted dimension if you dare.
I don't mean to scare y'all.
Hey
guys, welcome to another video. This is lesson 6 of our beginner's piano course. My name is Brittany, and of course, that really deep voice is Kyle, my husband. Also, my cameraman, who's holding my phone as I'm doing this. Thank you, Kyle.
Put it on trigger theme now.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. That's too scary.
I'm sorry. I don't have the gong. I'm sorry.
So today, what we're going to do is... we're going to move on to sharps and flats. Okay, now our objective today is to teach you what sharps and flats are. Going back to the chords, the way you know what a chord is called is you listen to the bass note, that's a C, right? So, that's how we learn what the names of the chords are, is by listening to the bass note. Remember your C, D, E, F, G, okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn about sharps and flats. What the heck are sharps and flats, right? So the way I was taught when I was growing up and I was taking piano lessons was as you go to the right, as you go up the piano, it gets sharper and sharper. And as you go down the piano, it gets flatter and flatter. What the heck is this lady talking about? Okay, I'll explain it in just a minute. Okay. So we're going to move on to the black keys. Okay, we're going to throw in the black keys now, which is going to make it even harder. Right? So we're going to, the black keys, we're going to throw those in now. Those make our sharps and flats. Okay? I'm going to teach you today what is called the chromatic scale, and it's used a lot in classical music. Okay? We are only going to use our first and third finger for the most part. Occasionally we'll throw in our second finger. Okay, but a chromatic scale demonstrates sharps and flats, right? Now, there are 12 notes in the musical scale. 12 notes, right? What are you talking about? There was only 8 in the C scale. Well, there are 12 chords, 12 possible major and minor chords. We'll get to that. 12 scales, 12 different keys on a piano, right? So there are 12 notes, they repeat themselves. What are you talking about? There's 36 black keys and there's 52 white keys. I understand that. But they're broken up, the keys repeat themselves, right? We go from C to C to C, C to shining C.
That's 7 C's.
Right? So, in a chromatic scale, we use sharps and flats a lot, okay? What I've been teaching you with the scales, these are steps. These are called, this is from C to D is what's called a whole step. From D to E is called a whole step. From E to F is a half step. F to G, G to A to B is a whole or half step too. Or no, I'm sorry, B to C is a whole step. Half step, I'm sorry. So, a half step is from C, and here's where we're going to put our thumb again on middle C. And again, you should have oriented yourself to the piano by now, okay? Our thumb is going to be on middle C on the right hand. Our third finger, we're going to skip our second finger. Our third finger, we're going to raise it up to the first black key here, which is our C sharp. So it goes C, C sharp, and then we're going to move our thumb over to D. And then our third finger is going to hit D sharp. E, F. Now we hit our F with our second finger, okay? And then, every time in a chromatic scale, our third finger always hits the black keys. This is F sharp. Whoa, hold on a minute. E. Why isn't there an E sharp? I don't know. There just is not, okay? It does not go, there is no such thing as E sharp unless you're reading music, okay? And that's typically if you're reading music, but we just go from E to F for the purposes of this video, okay? There is no E sharp, it's just an F. F sharp, we hit that with our third finger. G with our thumb. G sharp. And for the record, that's the second black key in the set of 3 black keys. G sharp with our third finger. A with our thumb. A sharp with our third finger. B, and there's no B sharp. It's just a C, and we hit that with our second finger. So the chromatic scale finger numbering system goes like this. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if you want to keep going, I mean, you could do that too. It just kind of sounds like this if you want to go.
It's simply going downhill. Simply going downhill.
Yeah, you hear that a lot in classical music. You hear that a lot in classical music. Going back down.
Now you're going up.
Yeah. Going back down is just very much the opposite, okay? So that's what that sounds like going up if you're going all the way across the piano, but it really sounds like this. And all you're doing is 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, and you stop, okay? So remember, a half step above, which is your first black key there, is always a sharp. So as you go up, you're getting sharper and sharper. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and the sharps are played with your third finger. A sharp, B, and C. Okay? That is the proper fingering for what is called the chromatic scale. And that is played a lot in classical music. Flats. So as you go down the piano, you get flatter and flatter. So we're going to start going down. We're going to start with our second finger on C. And it should sound like this. This is our second finger. So 2, 1 on B. And then we're going to cross over with our third finger. B flat. Wait a minute. I thought that was called an A sharp. It is. It's the same note. That's what gets tricky about sharps and flats. Typically, whatever key that you're playing in, if you're writing in music, if you're writing, mostly applies to written music. But if you say B flat, people will know what you're talking about. If you say A sharp, it actually essentially means the same thing. Okay, you could say B flat or A sharp, and it essentially it means you're striking the same key on the piano. Okay, but this is how flats work. So you start with a C. B flat, A flat, which is also the same as a G sharp. And again, the fingering's the same. So you start with your second finger on the C, your thumb hits a D, and then your third finger crosses over to B flat. I'm sorry, did I say D? I meant to say B. B flat on the third finger, your thumb hits A, you cross over again to with your third finger to A flat, which is the same as a G sharp. G, F sharp, or this is also called a G flat. G flat, F. Now you want to be careful with that F. That F is supposed to be played with your second finger. So, right? That's your second finger on the F. E flat, which is also the same as a D sharp, played with your third finger. D played with your thumb. D sharp, which is the same as a I'm sorry. Am I saying sharp? I meant to say flat.
She's all mixed up.
So it's a C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, no such thing as an F flat. It's an E flat, D, D flat, and C. So a half step lower is always a flat. A half step higher is always a sharp. It gets confusing because you're striking the same key. So technically, that's how it works. If you go up, it gets sharper and sharper. If you go down, it gets flatter and flatter.
Just don't cut yourself.
Yeah, kind of hard to do on a flat keys of a piano.
Yeah, but you said they're sharp.
There's Kyle, being funny again. So that's what that sounds like, okay? That's what a chromatic scale is. That's what sharps and flats are. And I know it's very confusing sometimes. So, again, a half step higher. So from C to C sharp is a half step. From up here, from B to B flat is a half step. So a half step lower is always a flat. A half step higher is a sharp. I know it's very confusing at first, but write it down for sure. Write it down, study it, do whatever you have to do to remember it. But just remember, if you go up the piano, it gets sharper and sharper. If you go down the piano, it gets flatter and flatter. That's the way that I've always remembered it. So you go up the piano, you're going against the grain. Going down the piano, you're going with the grain. So that's another way you could remember. It's kind of think of imagine the keys going upward, right? Imagine, and it gets sharper and sharper as you go up. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Like, subscribe, and if you like my videos, you can ring my bell. Ring that bell if you want to get some notifications every time I upload a video. Again, my name is Brittany, and I hope you are enjoying these videos. Thank you so very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.